Welcome back to the Abby Cakes YouTube channel. It's been a little bit since we've been on, but we've been very busy. We just had a slew of holidays from Easter to Mother's Day and Harry Potter Day. So we're back and we're ready for summer. Today we are going to be making sugar cookies. Traditionally, they are topped with royal icing. As a caker, I work with fondant often, so that's my most comfortable canvas is fondant versus royal icing. So today we are going to top our sugar cookies with fondant toppers. The sugar cookies are going to be a summer sip set. So we are going to do a cacti, a pineapple, a little margarita, and then this one is going to be just one that we're gonna put a sip or hashtag sip on and paint it with some summer floral painting around it. So let's get started. All right, so I have used these cutters to make the shapes of my cookies and they're already baked. We are going to use the exact same cutters for our toppers. So I'm just gonna get my fondant out and start rolling using the cutters. So the ones that we are going to impression with sip are going to be white fondant, and then we're gonna paint around it. So a little cornstarch on here. The fondant actually brings a nice sweetness to the sugar cookie, and it's soft. I'm gonna take my scalloped cutter, just like that. Clean that up on the sides in a minute. So I have these awesome little letter impressions. I got the letters SIP. I think that's all I'm gonna be able to fit on here, but on our block sugar cookie, we'll do hashtag SIP. And it's nice because the writing comes out beautiful every single time. I am not good at cursive, so this is perfect. Just put them in place, press down. Have it. It says sip. And then we're going to paint this gold when we come back around to decorate. All right, we'll move on to the yellow for the pineapple. A little cornstarch. Important tip about fondant is make sure it stays covered. That way it doesn't dry out. Fondant can be very expensive. But even if you make it from home and it's not quite as expensive, you still don't want to waste it. So always keep it covered. All right, there's our second pineapple. We'll move on to the cactus. Sometimes the sugar cookies don't bake exact and true to shape when you use the cutter. So the nice thing about the fondant toppers is that they're so pliable that we can move them around once we put it on the sugar cookie and kind of shape it to the cookie's shape. All right, and our final cut here is going to be for the block sugar cookie. Just gonna cut here. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's pliable, so I can move it if I need. Okay, and then this one I want to do hashtag sip. So I've got my little hashtag there. If you want these to be really connected too, so it looks like actual cursive writing, what I would suggest doing is getting them in place, but then only impressioning one at a time so that you can connect them. With my eye, I'm gonna try to hook it to the S. And then same thing for the P if possible. These ones are capital letters, so it's a little bit harder to do. And then I've left myself enough room to do like a huge flower there when I come back and paint. All right, so these are ready. I'm just gonna glue them on. You can use buttercream or royal icing or piping gel, whichever you want to adhere them to the cookies. This is a combination of water and Tylose powder or CMC powder, and it just makes a sticky glue that's edible. The sip. It'll be really cute once we paint the letters gold and then draw flowers around it. If you guys have worked with sugar cookies, let us know. I'm curious to see if you guys have done fondant toppers or if you prefer royal icing. I, for one, am all about the fondant. I think it's looking good. If you work quickly with your fondant, it's still pliable enough to do this. If you let the fondant sit for a little bit, it will start to crack when you come back and roll. So if you want to do that, I would suggest putting them on pretty quickly after you roll them. And that'll look so cute once it gets decorated. I think you could definitely do this on a budget. It isn't very expensive. A basic sugar cookie is not expensive. A couple of cookie cutters are not expensive either, and you can honestly find cookie cutters at even Walmart or Fry's. If you're going seasonally, I am pretty much guaranteeing you can find something like this at just a local supermarket. Fondant, you can make your own at home. You can make marshmallow fondant, and that's fairly inexpensive as well. Basic colors, like primary colors, you can get at a grocery store as well. I think it's a very inexpensive, easy activity to do, and it's delicious. This is our last one, and then we get to start decorating. And I'm just gonna move my fondant a little bit to match up with the cookie. I baked these cookies probably about 2 hours before we did this whole activity here, so they really don't need much time. Honestly, as soon as they're cooled, you can start working, so you can definitely do it all in just a few hours time. All right, so for our gold, you can find a lot of edible luster dusts or non-toxic luster dust online or at the cake store. I'm going to mix this today with clear vanilla because I know I'm gonna be serving it to kids later. I will say that like an Everclear or a vodka that has a really high alcohol content is probably the best to get the most easiest to work with gold consistency. But clear vanilla will work fine, or lemon extract will work fine as well. And the nice thing about these impressions is they go into the actual fondant, so you can't really mess up the paint. It's not really freehanding, you're just kind of filling in here. So these paint brushes actually we got from a nail store that they use usually to do nail art, but they're so fine that this is exactly what we need to paint flowers and to get into these little grooves here. If you're using Everclear, this is gonna dry really, really quick once you paint on here. But just to be safe, I probably wouldn't serve it to kids. It doesn't get baked off since the cookie's already baked, the fondant is already done, so really the Everclear is just kind of in here with whatever you're painting. So now I'm going to get my little paint palette ready, put my colors in. Since we're going summer, I want to do a nice yellow, orange. I think I'm gonna do a red in here because that'll go nice. So always put my colors in here, and then I bring some white back in case I need to tone them down a little bit if they're too vibrant or they're too dark. I've got an avocado green here, which I love. If you add back enough white to the red, it makes a nice pink too. A little white. And I almost always start with the greenery or the leaves. It just gives me kind of like a frame of reference, and then where I'm gonna put my flowers comes usually after that. So I'm just mixing my avocado green with a little bit of white. I try to use the thinnest brush that I have for my greenery. So we'll start with this guy here. Just coming around. And I actually think I'm gonna pull a little orange into this too. So I've mixed this tangerine color, I think it is, that I have with a super red and white. All kinds of flowers you can do when you're painting. I'm just going for, I'm gonna go like a little bit of a rose design here. If you want to give it a little more definition, I would take more white to whatever color you're using so that you have like 2 shades going, and kind of fill in here where there's some empty spaces. And then if you end up covering up what you initially painted, just go back with your darker color and make a little bit more definition, kind of the outline of the rose. So So there's that, that's our first rose going on, flower, rose. So I'm going to do, I think, a little bit of a yellow color. So if you don't love painting or it's not your craft, which honestly, I don't think it's mine either. I really don't. I wouldn't paint anything else except for things like this, but you can definitely get stencils. You can even make a stencil if you have a Cricut or anything like that, which I live by my Cricut. You can make your own stencil and then just airbrush it on or paint it on. Take up a little bit of the white space here on the rest of the cookie. Okay, and now that I have all my flowers on there, I'm gonna go back and fill in with a little bit more greenery, and I think some of this greenery I'm gonna make a little bit darker. If you guys are loving all the tips right now, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's any questions you have, please let us know. We'll get back to you. Just leave us a comment with any questions. All right, there's the finished product for that one. So I'm gonna go and paint the rest of this, and then we'll be back in a minute. So we're back with the final product. They're all painted. You guys saw that we did the floral one. The rest of them I really just painted to give them more definition and look more like the pineapple, the cactus, and the martini. We also did a little bit of a sugared rim here. I just took some piping gel, painted across here, and then dipped in sugar, and then added a little lime wedge out of fondant. So this is the final product. All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please let us know. And definitely don't forget to tell us if you prefer royal icing or fondant sugar cookies. See you next time.